Alright, Diablo 4 players, what are the top tier and the best Spiritborn skills as well as the passives to actually acquire on the tree for Season 9 and beyond? So let's go ahead and hop right into it. I'll kind of explain the choices. So pretty much since the very beginning of the game, and even right now, the top tier build is technically running Quill Volley. Quill Volley has always been one of the top tier builds for Spiritborn, and this season it's just the way that it interacts with the game, and it's specifically because it just hits really well. It applies vulnerability, and on top of that, you can make the attack essentially hit twice very consistently. So Quill Volley has always been one of the top tier builds, but if you're playing another build, majority of these skills, by the way, are going to be played in some sort of a way with Spiritborn. I know right now the hot thing is to play, of course, the brand new Thorns with the poison with the Spiritborn, but this is basically for majority of builds. Quill Volley has been one of the top tier just core skills in general for the Spiritborn, but the rest of the skills are going to come down to activating the Hunter for the ultimate, which gives you a bunch of different multipliers, and then on top of that, counter attack is really good, giving you that extra dodge chance, which can increase your Thorns damage as well as giving you a small amount of survivability. Then you have the Ravager to activate as more attacks, which is very popular this season, or the ability to teleport towards your enemies to make the game feel way smoother. And then a lot of Spiritborn players will like to play in Vortex, and there's actually another skill that I want to mention that is very powerful called Armored Hide as well. But it depends on the build that you're playing. If you're playing the Thorns one, you can mix in even Scourge for a lot of builds, giving you extra damage versus crowd-controlled enemies. You just get extra increased damage. So there's a lot of skills actually with Spiritborn to kind of mix and match depending on your playstyle. Again, if you're playing Thorns, then obviously Toxic Skin, but Scourge is just a good generic one that every build can basically throw in. Another thing I want to mention, since a lot of things have gotten changed, a lot of times we would stack Resolve in the build, and a lot of these things have been nerfed. So I want to say going into the future with Spiritborn, a lot of builds are going to be wanting to play what's called Plains Power, and you're going to be stacking Mystic Circle benefits, and then converting everything into Jaguar is kind of the hot thing right now for Spiritborn, and even going further into the future, as a lot of things in Spiritborn have been nerfed. So this is kind of like the go-to route. Even though I'm mentioning nerfs, Spiritborn is still a top #1 build this season, and in the future, who knows. But Loyalty's Mantle is very strong. So it comes down to specifically the two specializations, having double Jaguar being very strong, and the reason why Jaguar is like top tier and has always been top tier for the most part is every 15th time that you deal direct damage to an enemy with a Jaguar skill, and it will convert all of your skills to Jaguar skills, you get to unleash a damage that deals 30% of the damage that you've dealt to them within the last 0.5 seconds. And this works off of itself, so you get a lot of double dipping, and that's the reason why you also play another Jaguar here to increase your ferocity, which is going to give you basically more damage. And then on top of that, Loyalty's Mantle over here is going to be really strong because you get the bonus of the Spirit Hall to be 100% more potent. So this is going to probably be best in slot unless they nerf this, and I'll update you guys in the future. But this video guide isn't meant for you to copy this skill bar. It's more so just to be a video for anyone that is building a Spiritborn. What are some of the skills that you really want to try to fit in? And I don't really want to give you guys like a gear guide because it depends on the build. But these are going to be pretty much in majority of builds going forward, unless we get some like brand new skill, because these are just so incredibly strong right now in the game. Now that we went over some of the skill choices, I want to go over some of the other ones. Again, there isn't enough room to fit everything, but if I could fit in some stuff, Scourge is great. Toxic Skin if you're playing, of course, the Thorns build this season, which is the hot thing. But then also getting things like Armored Hide is really good because it's going to give you Resolve, giving you extra survivability is quite nice as well, and it actually counts as, of course, the Gorilla skill, facilitating a lot of the different builds. You can also run Crushing Hand if you want to. That's also a popular build, but I would say Quill Volley, if I had to argue which core skill is the best, because I get this question asked quite frequently, if you actually want to deal damage, Quill Volley is totally okay, and it still will probably be one of the best skills. But for survivability, you can go Gorilla, you can even do Rake for extra cooldown reduction. There's a lot of options here, but this has kind of been the fan favorite since the start of the Spiritborn. But anyways, now moving on to the passives over here. So as far as it goes, in terms of the best passives, and as far as the basic skills, there really hasn't been a build that was really good. There was like this other like evade variant of the build, but for the most part, the more popular variant right now is the thorns build. However, again, I'm mentioning Quill Volley, you can play Crushing Hand. These are all great options. I really wouldn't say there is a great Stinger build. I did, however, make a build guide for Stinger if you guys do want to check that out. It's from a previous season because it's not super hot this season, but it's never been like a super like meta one. But just to mix things up, if you want to try it out, you can go ahead and try it. Now, if you are converting your skills to basic skills, follow through is an okay passive, but pretty much on a lot of different builds, you want to get increased of your mana or your vigor generation here. This is great because a lot of builds will fit in the Cax rune that it uses up all of your resources. Then this gives you a 15x multiply on it. And if you are playing a build where your core skill does deal damage, then this will be okay. But again, if you're relying on like the Thorns variant, then you don't really need to worry too much about that. And then, like I mentioned before, Vortex is a very, very popular skill. A lot of people will want the one while if you have a barrier, it does additional damage and knocks down. It's basically for the knockdown. The 300% damage doesn't really matter, but if you want to get this, it's okay too. You can also run this in a rune word combo if you don't want to go ahead and manually push it. If you're like a lazy player and you just want to group up the enemies, hey, go ahead and make the rune word and you can put it on whatever you want. And then this one over here, Unrestrained Power is an excellent passive as well to take. It just gives you some more damage while you're unstoppable. When you activate your ultimate, you can become unstoppable. And then Ravager is one of my favorite things. This is what makes Spiritborn so fast. If you want to run Replenishing, it gives you basically additional attacks, which will ramp up, of course, when you're playing the Thorns Spiritborn variant for this season. But then also Measured Ravager is really good because it lets you dash towards your target. This is what gives you infinite teleport with the build. If you ever played the Flurry Rogue, think of it kind of like that. It's so awesome. This is one of my favorite things to get for speed clearing. Excellent choice. For this season, Toxic Skin is really good, so I'm going to mention it, but it doesn't really need to go in every single build, but it is definitely a good one this season. And then this one over here, Focal Point, depending on what you are running, you get a different bonus. The Spiritborn always runs the Quarterstaff, so you just get extra blocked damage reduction. Keep in mind, block doesn't give you like a block to take 0 damage. It's set the base 15% damage reduction. So whenever you get hit, if you block the attack, you just take 15% less. And then if you get this, you take even less damage. And then you just get increased damage versus vulnerable, and you get to double this bonus versus elites. So that's a great one to grab yourself as well. And diminishment is another great one to get yourself damage reduction. Now, if you want to put 5 points into Armored Hide, this is actually a pretty good one as well because it gives you a bonus once you put 5 points into it. It gives you 2 resolve every 5 seconds, and resolve over here increases your damage reduction while active, which is awesome. And then there are some variants where it increases your block damage too. Like, you can put points into this. This is a really great skill as well. And then I already mentioned counterattack. This one's okay to go ahead and get. Again, more dodge equals more thorns damage this season, but if you have extra room on your bar, fit this one in. It's just giving you a passive of 10% dodge, and you get to automatically retaliate, but the passive is the main reason why you would run it. You don't really have to really manage it. It's great for that. And then when you get an extra set of points into it, specifically at rank 5, you get another bonus of getting 15% dodge, which is huge in the game. If you are playing a variant where you do want to run a heal, whenever you heal, your poison damage gets increased. This one's not bad, again, if you are playing a build that can use it. And then I already mentioned Scourge. It's basically for this node right here, where anytime you hit an enemy with Scourge, you get to get increased damage versus crowd controls. It's not just Scourge damage, it's just damage. So this is another free multiplier that a lot of builds will try to fit in. And because a lot of people will eventually play the double Jaguar, it converts all your skills to Jaguar, so you just get 30x damage here. And then also, this one is good if you are building a build that can do crit. If you're playing the Thorns build, I believe people do not run this at the current state of the game, but that's because you aren't dealing the crit. Thorns as well as dots are not supposed to be able to crit in the game. There was a bug before where you could do it, so if that ever comes back with, it was with specifically Sky Hunter and the Rogue, if that ever comes back in some sort of way, yeah, you can run it. But if you're running the Thorns build, yeah, you don't really need that. But it's still good just in general for most builds to grab this, just not the one currently this season, because again, it's Dot and Thorns. This one over here is pretty cool. There's no point in putting more points into it. What you get is increased damage to knock down enemies, unless you're playing a Gorilla variant. However, the execute of 5% chance is great to have, because you're attacking so many dang times in this build, and it depends on what skill that you're using. You can convert your skills to Gorilla. There's lots of different ways to convert and count as other things, but if you are running a skill that can do it, this one is an excellent one to take. It's just a 5% chance to just like one shot. And then if you cast a Gorilla skill, you get increased maximum life. Armor Height is the popular one. You can see I'm using it in the gameplay, and it just gives you just free extra HP, which is quite nice to have. There are some other nodes if you're running Centipede, but for the most part right now it's not. It hasn't really been super hot. Now usually you want to put max out the Hunter. It's just, again, I'm trying to show you guys all the skills here, but the reason why this skill is so dang good is because you get a massive bonus here. So it gives your overfill of ferocity by 2, and you deal 50x damage to injured enemies for 8 seconds, which is really good. And then you have a chance for it to like reset its cooldown, so you just keep up this bonus. And there's a lot of other multipliers here. So when you cast a ultimate skill, you get 15x damage, and then it gets doubled if there's only one enemy. So you get another 30x damage over here. If you have this, your vigor is increased by 10. A lot of times there was a lot of bonuses when you would spend your resource, and it would give you a bonus based on the amount spent, so it would recover. But then Supremacy is really good. It's just when you kill an enemy while the ultimate's active, you get increased damage, and then you get like a 30x, and then it increases for a set duration after. It's a really good one to have as well. And you can grant yourself Unstoppable. You can put multiple points into this because there's a damage multiplier of when you're unstoppable, so Initiative is really good as well. And then if you use Intricacy, what it allows you to do is kind of spam your skill again in between when you are using your Hunter. It's something that some people like to get. It's up to you if you want to get it. And then just getting any amount of heal, because when you get to heal, you get like a bonus. I believe it's like over here. Healing increases your poison damage. So if you are playing a build that you can do it, there is one source of healing in the build. And there's also this. There are some top tier builds from the past that have put just 1 point into this, because it just gives you the ability to get that heal. So you get a set of bonuses. And I know that this season we are using Thorns. So you see a lot of people this season get Bastion, but if you're not playing a Thorns build, obviously, you don't get it. But this one's really good too. It gives you a free barrier, because I kind of want to talk about the survivability all at once here since we're talking about the life here. But this one's really good because there is a thing, I believe it's called Vicious Shield, and it just gives you more damage based on barrier. You'll also see very commonly people will play the Bulwark combo for the rune to grant themselves extra barrier, because you need some sort of way to generate barrier in the build. You can also play one of the seasonal powers to actually grant yourself in Season 9 a barrier whenever you use your bonus. It's like 50% barrier. It's really good. And then giving yourself extra block chance is always okay, but you're really just trying to max out this. Auspicious is a really, really good thing to kind of lock in. Now, as far as the key passive over here, the only ones that really saw play throughout the entirety is pretty much Prodigy's Tempo. Like, it was always Prodigy's Tempo. They've buffed some of these so many times, but it doesn't really matter. Prodigy Tempo is pretty much one of the top tier ones for the history of the Spiritborn, but in this particular season, Noxious Resonance is really good. It's kind of one of the more unique things where your crit strikes cause your poison to burst, which deal even more damage to the enemy. But then on Prodigy's Tempo over here, it just gives you extra skill cast, and it also gives you crazy cooldown reduction. These two are pretty much the only ones that people have been using, because the other ones, there's kind of a gimmick like movement speed. Is that really that important? Damage reduction. Attack speed, you can just get like one node, or you could just put accelerating. It's basically the same thing over here. But then you also get to increase the core stats. This one still has some potential. It's not like terrible. But it is something where it just hasn't really seen as much play as specifically Prodigy's Tempo has been the main one that every build uses. This season, I know, again, it's Noxious Resonance. They did buff Vital Strikes to give you 80x, but remember, it turns off the vulnerability, then it re-adds it on. You also get to generate 10 Vigor, and as well as getting some extra HP. But usually, like, any sort of, like, defensive stat on, like, the key passive is usually, like, whatever. People only care about damage, I get it. And it has gotten buffed, just so you guys at least are aware that it did get buffed. But you could start stacking crazy amounts of core stats if you want to, but this season you have to basically run this. But anyways, yeah, those are going to be the top tier skills as well as the passives to go ahead and run the Spiritborn. And again, Well, one more time, I don't mean this to be a build guide to copy the entire skill tree. It's just to show you guys, if you are building Spiritborn, depending on your build, try to fit these in, and I promise your build will be much, much stronger. And that's going to wrap things up, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like on it, and if you are new here, hit subscribe, turn that bell if you want to see more classes in the future with the best skills as well as the passives, and I'll update these if they need to be updated, because some skills, they've been basically the best since the start of the game. But anyways, Diablo gamers, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one, and I am signing out. Peace.